Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis. It's in the county of Shelbyville, in the state of Tennessee. Today's date is early Sunday morning, October the 21st, 2018. The time 3:53 a.m. First, say thank you to all my fans, my support for your continued encouragement, support, and continue to keep myself employed right here in this Memphis tri-state area. I'll continue to further my education at Monroe College Online, pursuing my associate degree study in business administration with a concentration market. At this present time, I'm taking a break from going to school, but in the very near future, I will be going back to Monroe College Online and continue to pursue my social media study in business administration, concentration market. What I'm going to do right now, I'm doing my Instagram. Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county of Shelbyville. It's in the state of Tennessee. Today's date is early Sunday morning, October the 21st, 2018. The time 3:53 a.m. First, say thank you to all my fans, my support for your continued encouragement and support. Anti-gang. Anti-gang. First, I want to always give thanks to God for all the blessing and the guidance that He provides us all with. Now these here are just a few of the free logo design websites that you can go to make anti-gang logos. Now, as you know, I'm going to continue to speak out. I'm going to continue to complain. People saying they are gang plus stir. People saying they are mob plus stir. People saying they a boss, they a goon, they a thug. People saying they a crook, they a hoodlum. People saying they a Mac, they a player. People saying they a pimp, they a whore. People saying they a hustler. People saying they a nigga. Field house nigga, field nigga, house nigga, See, it's all street slang. It's street slang. See, people all over the earth communicate, use language. And so, like I said, it's street slang. Now, there's some more street slang. There's some more street slang. Remember we were playing a game, hop and scotch, tic tac toe, street slang. And then you have street slang like for music, hip and hop, rock and roll, swing, groove, jazz, blues, doo and wop, and B and bop, street slang. Now you have street slang for money, as you know, like we've been talking about. We use the quick reference. Wikipedia, it's a quick reference, and looked up some money. People all over the world use. First of all, people all over the world use money, currency, exchange, and everybody make up street slang for money. I found a whole lot of street slang, and all over the world, people in every country, whatever they call their money, currency, exchange. They'll make up street slang just like we do in America. Now here in the United States of America, some street slang for money is bucks, rack, stack, bands, Benjamins, dead presidents, dough, scratch, loot, moolah. It's all street slang. Street slang. Nothing official about no street slang. No big deal about no street slang. And like I said, you be on your job, be at work at your place of employment, and you hear all this ignorant nonsense. And see, the thing about it is that you have people who have a high school diploma. You have people who don't have a high school diploma. You have those who have a high school diploma or GED, and then you have those who don't have a high school diploma who don't have a GED. Now all those who do have a high school diploma, like myself, and then there are others who have a GED. That's education. And then you have those people like myself who are trying to get a social degree, and then you have those who already have a social degree. It's about 2 years. That's a 2-year degree. And then you have those people who have a bachelor degree. It's 4 to 5 years. Then you have your master's degree. That's 8 years. Then you have your PhD. That's 12 or more years of study. You understand? Now, all those who don't have a high school diploma and a GED, you don't have enough education. You don't have enough education. You don't know the things that others who do have a high school diploma or a GED know. See, you don't know how to read, you don't know how to write, and you don't know how to do math. See, you haven't studied social studies. You haven't studied science. So you don't know what people who have a high school diploma and a GED know. See, the people with the education, the sorority and the fraternity, when you go on your job Monday morning, because you know this is the weekend, when you go on your job at your place of employment, that's who's going to be waiting for everybody to come back to work. The people with the bachelor's degree, the master's degree, the PhD, the sorority and the fraternity. They're going to be waiting for you to come back to work. Now, all those who don't have a high school diploma and don't have a GED, see all that street slang stuff, we see it's very obvious. You don't know. You don't know. So it can't be, it's not coming from you. It's not coming from you. Now, I know. You can be at home in your, in your environment, just say in your surroundings. And you can just be making up nicknames and, just all kind of stuff that you can just make up yourself. You know what I'm saying? Being around your own, you can make up some, but see, you don't know. You don't know. But see, the whole basis of it is still coming from a person with an education. You don't even know how to pronounce words right. See, this is the point that had to be made to you and to others who don't have education. Like you're going to try to argue with somebody. You don't know. Because when it comes to pronouncing words, you don't know how to pronounce words. So you don't know. You don't know. And then talking about trying to spell words, trying to write. It's just like saying right. I'm going to give you an example, just like saying right. Remember we were talking about homonyms and synonyms and antonyms. See, you don't know. See a word like WRIGHT and RIGHT, right? Then you have RITE, right? You don't know. You don't know because there's a whole lot of words like that. You don't know. That was just one example. You don't know. So it's always a person with an education. That's where it's coming from. See, you're being misled, just like we've been talking about the blood gang and the Crip gang out there in Los Angeles, California. You're being misled by the sorority and the fraternity. Up there in Chicago, with the north, up there with the folk gang and the My People gang, you being misled by the sorority and the fraternity. Now the sorority and the fraternity, African American, we didn't have anything to do with it. The first fraternity, William and Mary College, that's over there in Virginia. And that's the second oldest institution of higher learning in the United States of America. Harvard University is the oldest institution of higher learning in the United States of America. The second oldest institution of higher learning is William and Mary College in Virginia. Now Harvard University is up there in Massachusetts. So when it comes to the fraternity, see, the William and Mary College, the first fraternity was at William and Mary College in Virginia in the South. African Americans was slaves on the plantation. We didn't have anything to do with it. You don't know anything about the fraternity. And now the sorority, it was a man at Syracuse University with a PhD. He started the first sorority at Syracuse University. Again, that was in the early 1900s, like 1905, early 1900s. African Americans were being discriminated. It was after the Civil War were being discriminated against. They had all Jim Crow laws all across America. Was that Plessy versus Ferguson? You know all them laws they passed. Separate but equal and all, you know, all that. So it's talking about getting an education. We ain't have no education for African Americans. So when it comes to the sorority, we ain't had nothing to do with it. African Americans were not involved in the sorority at all. So the sorority and the fraternity, you know, they be on the college campus, and every college. And this is a point that you can make. We're not just talking about one college, like William and Mary College. We talking about all across the United States of America, colleges and universities. The sorority and fraternity, the crimes that's being committed on the campus by the sorority and the fraternity on the campus. Then you have all those crimes that are being committed by the sorority and the fraternity off the campus. Excuse me. And let's not forget the sorority and fraternity. They use and abuse alcohol and drugs on campus and off campus. Don't let the sorority excuse me, don't let the sorority and the fraternity mislead you. Excuse me. Now this is the this is the International Bill of Human Rights. This is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. This is the Declaration of the Rights of the Child. And this is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. And this is the world's oldest human rights organization, Anti-Slavery International. This is the International Federation for Human Rights. This is the world's oldest international conservation organization, BirdLife International. And this is Fauna and Flora International, was the world's first international wildlife conservation organization. the world's oldest global environmental organization, International Union for Conservation of Nature, and also the World Wildlife Fund. Now, as you know, there are other organizations, such as the organization that we just mentioned. Such as, for example, Amnesty International. Now, we know the history and the work of these organizations. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Global Rights, Frontline Defenders, Human Rights Without Frontier, International Service for Human Rights, and then Conservation International, Wildlife Conservation Society, the Conservation Fund, the League of Conservation Voters, Earthwatch Institute, Conservancy Association, Earth Justice, Conservation Volunteers, Wildlife Conservation Network, Endangered Wildlife Trust, Biodiversity and Nature Conservancy Association, Rare Species Conservation Center, Wildlife Research and Conservation Trust, the Rainforest Trust, the International Rainforest Conservation Organizations, Rainforest Alliance, Rainforest Action Network. Biodiversity International, Earth Day Network, Environmental Defense Fund, Friends of the Earth, Friends of Nature, Greenpeace, the Nature Conservancy, Wildlife Conservation Society, Soil and Water Conservation, Clean Water Action, World Water Council, Marine Conservation Institute, Marine Conservation Alliance, Oceanic Preservation Society, Oceanic Society, Global Ocean Commission, International Marine Life Alliance. So we know that there are many organizations. And many of these organizations, we know the history and the work of these organizations. Now, we know that businesses, companies, and corporations, you understand, they are start organizations. You understand? They'll start organizations because they want to be able to keep doing the wrong that they've been doing. It seems like all these organizations we just mentioned, they trying to clean up all the wrong that the businesses, companies, and corporations have done in doing. See, the sorority and the fraternity, they work for these businesses, companies, and corporations. And they are responsible and accountable for the majority of the wrong that's being done by these businesses, companies, corporations, such as discrimination. Excuse me. We know that there's a variety of issues with racial discrimination, sexual orientation discrimination, gender discrimination, possibly age discrimination, language, somebody speaks a different language, nationality discrimination. So on that note, we know there are many businesses, companies, and corporations that have been brought to court, and not just court, but there are a lot of issues, internal, external, with the business, with the company, and with the corporation about discrimination. And when there are also sexual harassment and you know, and then you got to deal with corruption. You know, we've been talking about recently here in the 2000, late 90s to early 2000s. Started hearing things about the supply chain. And then also all the pollution, you know, ground pollution, water pollution, air pollution, sound pollution, noise pollution. So, and we know businesses, companies, and corporations, the majority of it, that's where it's coming from. So when it comes to these organizations trying to, you know, to either, first of all, they want to stop the pollution, want to stop all the discrimination, they want to stop all these wrongs that's being done by the businesses, companies, and also the government. You know, the government get pulled in, and so and then they want to also not only stop, but they want to also do something about what's already been done. You know, like for example, the pollution. You got to clean it up. Because it's having an effect. For example, the ozone layer, it affecting everybody. The ozone, it affects humans, it affects the plant life, it affects animals, it affects all those, it affects everything on this earth. That's one example, the ozone layer. So we want to do something about that. Now we got to do something about that. They done sit up there and polluted the environment, polluted the ground, the water, the air, and got all this noise pollution. Now we got a big hole up there in the ozone layer. Then we got to do something. Now you got all this climate, all this stuff about the climate. See, it's like a chain reaction. So that's really why these businesses, companies, corporate, they'll start an organization their own self, but it ain't because they trying to do what's right. They want to keep being able to do the wrong that they've been doing with discrimination and with polluting the environment and killing wildlife and you know, destroying nature and killing all of us. You know, they don't. That's how ignorant these people is. They'll sit up there and try to destroy the ozone layer, and they sit up and dying their own self. Just like the tobacco people, they'll sit up there and produce all them cigarettes, and then sit around and see all these people dying from cancer, and they'll die too. Go out there and cut all the trees down in the forest. I don't care, as long as I give me some money, you know. But and so the sorority and the fraternity, you know, they the ones who will be working for these businesses, companies, and corporations. So don't be misled by the sorority and the fraternity. Don't let the sorority and fraternity mislead you. Now let me say this. We talking about William and Mary College. Let me make sure I remind you that I had said something about this one in the past about those secret societies. Now I know a lot of times I don't say nothing, but I did. In the past I did. Just like we was talking about the online dictionary, you know, Merriam-Webster, and all the other Oxford English Dictionary. See, in the back we were talking about argue and argument. So Don't think that I ain't never said nothing about the secret society. I did. I never forget. See, that's the basics of all that fraternity and sorority is the secret society. Now these are just a few of the free logo design websites that you can go to make anti-gang logos. So sorority fraternity, it's gonna be anti-gang demonstration. It's gonna be anti-gang protests. Guarantee. I'm gonna stand up for my human rights. I'm gonna stand up for mine. You know. And again, don't let the sorority and the fraternity mislead you. Don't let the sorority and the fraternity mislead you, because that's what they be doing. They mislead themselves and they mislead others. Now I'm doing my periscope. Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county of Shelby, in the state of Tennessee. Today's date is early Sunday morning, October the 21st, 2018. The time, 4:30 a.m. First day, thank all my fans and my supporters for your continued encouragement and support. Anti-gang. Anti-gang. Now these are just a few of the free logo design websites that you can go to make anti-gang logos. Now remember these words: coercion, coerce, sexual coercion, psychological coercion, psychological manipulation, psychological abuse. Now let me say this. I know when I be doing my video, you be hearing a little beeping. But see, we got a carbon monoxide device, and it's been there all the time. I mean, it's been there. Cause see, before my dad passed away, he had put the carbon monoxide alarm up, and then it was sitting there. And it had batteries in it, but it wouldn't. See, there it go. And so, about 2 months ago, I changed the batteries in the thing, and now the thing won't stop beeping. It just beep, 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 beep all day, all night. Now, if I pass out, while I'm doing my video, and from carbon monoxide. Don't worry about it. I'll be all right. But I should have paid attention to them. But that's what it is. If you hear the beep while I'm doing my video, that's what it is. It's the carbon monoxide alarm. Ever since I changed the batteries, it just will not stop beeping. So anyway, I'm going to continue to complain. I'm going to continue to speak out. People saying they are gang plus stir. People saying they are mob plus stir. People saying they are boss, they are goon, they are thug, they are crook, they are hooligan, they are pimp, they are whore. People saying they are Mac, they are player, they are hustle, they are nigga, field nigga, house nigga, it's street slang. It's street slang. And people all over the earth communicate, first of all, and use language. Use language. So when it comes to street slang, for example, you remember we were talking about how you play a game like hop and scotch, tic-tac-toe, street slang. When it comes to music, hip and hop, rock and roll, swing, groove, jazz, blues, do and wop, beat and bop. And when it comes to money, now we went to the quick reference, Wikipedia. And people all over the earth use money, currency exchange. People use money, and people make up street slang all over the earth for money. Now here in the United States of America, street slang for money. This is just a few of the street slang for money. Bucks, rack, stack, bands, Benjamins, dead presidents, dough, scratch, loot, and moolah. Just a few of the words, street slang words for money. And so ain't nothing official about no street slang. It's just street slang. Ain't nothing official about no street slang. And so when you be on your job at your place of employment at work, you hear all this ignorant nonsense. Now you see, a person with a high school diploma, a person with a GED. Now you have education. Then you have the person who don't have a high school diploma, who don't have a GED. Regardless how far you went to school, you don't have a high school diploma, you don't have a GED. And so you really don't know. Then you have the people, like myself. I graduated high school and earned my diploma, and I done took some college courses. I didn't finish, but I'm gonna go back and earn my associate degree and so on and so forth. But the associate degree is 2 years, and then you have a bachelor degree, it's 4 to 5 years, and then you have your master's degree, that's 8 years. And then you have your PhD, that's 12 or more years of study. And so that's where a lot of street slang and where it's come from. To see a person that don't know. Now a person with a high school diploma and GED, you don't have enough education. You don't have enough. and a person with a social degree. I mean, you just getting to college. But we talking about the bachelor degree, master degree, PhD. 4 or more years of college study. That's where a lot of that street slang came from. That's where it come from. Now, let me say this. I know that sometimes a person who don't have education in your surroundings, you make up stuff just in your surroundings. But but still, you don't know, because see where it came from. It be people with education, because see, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know how to do. You don't know how to read. You don't know how to write, and you don't know how to do math. You don't know how to do math. You don't know nothing about science, and you don't know anything about social studies. See, you don't know. But like I said, being in your surroundings, you can make up some sounds, for things in your surroundings. People do that all the time. But still, you don't know. You don't know. See, it's the sorority and the fraternity. Now, the first fraternity, William and Mary College in Virginia, in the South. The second oldest institution of higher learning, William and Mary College. That's where the first fraternity was at. And African Americans didn't have anything to do with it, because African Americans were slaves on a plantation. And Harvard University in Massachusetts, up there in Massachusetts, is the oldest institution of higher learning in the United States of America, Harvard University. Now, the sorority was started by a man who had a PhD at Syracuse University. In the early 1900s, after the Civil War, African Americans didn't have anything to do with it, because during that period of time, after the Civil War, there was Jim Crow laws. You've been discriminated against. All that, with that Plessy versus Ferguson, Dred Scott case, and all that. Separate but equal and all that. You didn't have anything to do with it. You had nothing to do with the fraternity. You had nothing to do with sorority. Now, it's the weekend. And so when you go back to your place of employment, at work, on your job, the people with the higher education, with the bachelor degree, the master degree, the PhD, they're going to be waiting for everybody to come back to work, because it's the weekend. They're going to be waiting to come back to work. And then you'll hear all that ignorant nonsense. You see, the person who don't have no GED, who don't have no high school diploma, it don't come from you. That's where it comes from. It comes from the people with the bachelor degree, master degree, the PhD, the sorority and the fraternity. Now, the sorority and fraternity, they the ones who commit all these crimes on the campus as well as off campus. In every campus around this country, in the United States of America, you will find all these records on campus crime all around America. You'll see all this crimes being committed on the campus by the sorority and the fraternity. And then you can go out, you can go off campus, and you'll see all these crimes being committed off campus by the sorority and the fraternity. The sorority and fraternity, they use and abuse drugs and alcohol. They use and abuse alcohol and drugs on campus as well as off campus. And it's not like, you got to try to dig up. This is a fact. This is a fact. In every campus, this is recorded. And then you got police records. You got local police as well as, state, local, state, and federal. the crimes that the sorority and the fraternity have committed on campus as well as off campus. It's all around the country. This is a fact. And then now this is the International Bill of Human Rights. And this is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. And this is the Declaration of the Rights of the Child. And this is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. And this is the world's oldest human rights organization, Anti-Slavery International. And this is the International Federation for Human Rights. And this is the world's oldest international conservation organization, BirdLife International. And this is Fauna and Flora International, was the world's first international wildlife conservation organization. And this is the world's oldest global environmental organization, International Union for Conservation of Nature, and also the World Wildlife Fund. Now, like those organizations we just mentioned, there are some more organizations, and we know their history, we know their work. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Global Rights, Frontline Defenders, Human Rights Without Frontiers, International Service for Human Rights. Biodiversity International, Earth Day Network, Environmental Defense Fund, Friends of the Earth, Friends of Nature, Greenpeace, the Nature Conservancy, Wildlife Conservation Society, Soil and Water Conservation, Clean Water Action, World Water Council, Marine Conservation Institute, Marine Conservation Alliance, Oceanic Preservation Society, Oceanic Society, Global Ocean Commission, the International Marine Life Alliance, Conservation International, Wildlife Conservation Society, the Conservation Fund, Legal Conservation Voters, Earth Watch Institute, Conservancy Association, Earth Justice, the Conservation Volunteers, Wildlife Conservation Network, Endangered Wildlife Trust, Biodiversity and Nature Conservancy Association, Rare Species Conservation Center, Wildlife Research and Conservation Trust, Rainforest Trust, International Rainforest Conservation Organizations, Rainforest Alliance, Rainforest Action Network. So like I say, there are many organizations. And then you have all these businesses, companies, corporations. And they'll start an organization. But see, the intent behind it is not to try to do what's right. But the intent for them to keep on doing the wrong that they've been doing, just like discrimination, racial discrimination, age discrimination, gender discrimination, sexual orientation discrimination, language discrimination, nationality discrimination, and then you have, for example, like sexual harassment, and then you have all this about pollution. You have ground pollution, water pollution, air pollution, noise pollution. So you have all this. They're not trying to stop it. They're not trying to stop doing what they've been doing. But see, so many organizations exposing the businesses and companies and corporations that they're trying to start an organization of their own so they can keep doing the wrong they're doing. But see, they don't care nothing about the ozone layer. See? It affects everybody. Everybody on this earth. Not just humans, the animals, the wildlife, the nature being affected. Everything on this earth is being affected by the ozone layer. Climate control because of the ozone layer. And who work for these businesses come to corporate? The sorority and the fraternity. What's all this discrimination? The sorority and the fraternity. Don't let the sorority and the fraternity mislead you. They waiting on everybody to come back to work on Monday morning. You hear all this ignorant nonsense. See, it's just like the blood gang and the Crip gang out there in Los Angeles, California, being misled by the sorority and the fraternity. And up there in Chicago, Illinois, the folk gang and the My People gang being misled by the sorority and the fraternity. Don't let the sorority and the fraternity mislead you. And let me also say this. When we were talking about the sorority and fraternity, the base of the sorority and fraternity is, you know, the secret society. Now I know a lot of times I don't say nothing about it, but I did. On my previous videos, I did say something about the secret society. I did. You remember when we was talking about the online dictionary? Remember we were talking about the online dictionary on my previous videos, and we were talking about Merriam-Webster, and we was talking about Oxford English Dictionary. We were talking about the online dictionary. You remember we were talking about argue and argument. You remember that? Remember we talked about the secret society. And then you remember we were talking about the Freemasons and Regis poem and Remember we were talking about the Cook main strip and the Dowling main strip. Remember we talked about the secret society. I got the list right here. It's like the Skull and Bones and the Freemasons and the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and the Illuminati and the Opus Dei. You know, we went over the Bilderberg Group, the Thug Society. Remember we were talking about the secret society. Well, see, that's the basis of the sorority and the fraternity. Don't let the sorority and the fraternity mislead you. Yeah, because I remember we went over the Carbonero and the Garduna, the Spanish Garduna, and the Black Hand, the Mafia, Cosa Nostra, the Triad, and Yakuza, Osirica. Yeah, we went over that. Yeah. So again, don't let the sorority and the fraternity mislead you. See, those secret societies, see, they go all the way back to the old world. You see, people came to America. They had all these secret societies already was established in the old world. Then it came to the new world. That's the basis of the sorority and the fraternity. Don't let the sorority and the fraternity mislead you. Now, as you know, nations all over the world, they enact laws that are intended to make each and every one of us safe from crime. Now, the United States government enacted the Organized Crime Control Act of 1970. And Title IX of the Organized Crime Control Act of 1970 is the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. The RICO Act is anti-gang. Now, this is the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act of 1970, the Controlled Substance Act, the Psychotropic Substances Act, the Continuing Criminal Enterprise Statute, the Kingpin Statute. It's all anti-gang. The Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act of 1974 established the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, as well as other related legislation. It's anti-gang. The Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, and the Comprehensive Gang Model Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, the Office of Justice Program in the United States Department of Justice. The Office of Justice Program, the Bureau of Justice Assistance in the United States Department of Justice, the Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative Project Safe Neighborhoods, the United States Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Service, the Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative, the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, the United States Department of Justice Office of Justice Program, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, the International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, the United States Department of State, Institute for Intergovernmental Affairs, Gang Resistant Education Training, the GREAT Program, the United States Department of Justice Office of Justice Program, the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, October 2009, the National Youth Gang Center, which have been funded by the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention since 1995, merged with the National Gang Center, which have been funded by the Bureau of Justice Assistance since 2003. The National Gang Center, compilation of state laws against gangs. Gang prevention. The overview research and program. That Mr. James E. Howell, the Office of Juvenile Justice, Delinquency Prevention. The United States Department of Justice, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, Office of Juvenile Justice, Delinquency Prevention, National Gang Center Bulletin. And the title of that bulletin, History of Street Gangs in the United States. Read the books in the bulletin. Excuse me. And also, you can go to Wikipedia and find the same information. Type gangs in the United States. The United States Department of Justice, Office of the United States Attorney General, 1457 Criminal Street Gang Statute. 18 United States Code 521. The United States Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, National Gang Intelligence Center, the United States Department of Justice, Organized Crime and Gang Section, and there are other federal, state, and local agencies. The United States Department of Justice, the Office of Justice Program, National Institute of Justice, Anti-Gang Strategies, Prevention, Intervention, Assessment, and Suppression. The United States Department of Justice, Office of Justice Program, National Institute of Justice, United States Department of Health and Human Services, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the National Center for Injury Prevention and Control, changing course, preventing gang membership, and also striving to reduce youth violence everywhere. The United States Department of Justice, the United States Department of Education, the United States Department of Health and Human Services, the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, the United States Department of Labor, and the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, National Forum Youth Violence Prevention Forum. You can go to youth.gov and be informed about the National Forum Youth Violence Prevention, as well as the Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative and the Comprehensive Gang Model. The United States Department of Justice, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, National Crime Prevention Council, Keeping Kids Out of Gangs, Anti-Hazing. You can go to lawyers.gov and be informed about anti-hazing. Now, as you can see, the United States government and all their departments, federal as well as state governments, they're telling everybody it's wrong. All this stuff about organized crime and all this about criminal street organizations. The United States government as well as other governments around the world, they're telling you it's wrong. It's wrong. See, just like the blood gang and the Crip gang out there in Los Angeles, California, you being misled by the sorority and the fraternity. You're being misled. Up there in Chicago, Illinois, the Folk gang and the My People gang, you being misled by the sorority and the fraternity. Now, we're going to continue to talk about the Catholic Church. Now we've been going to the quick reference, Wikipedia. Been going to the quick reference, Wikipedia, and we've been getting as much information as we can on the Catholic Church and all their particular churches, and also all the Protestant Reformation churches and all their major, minor, and denominational and interdenominational and all their house churches and all that, and all the American Restoration Movement, all their churches that they made up. Because we know the American Restoration Movement, they lying. See, the thing about the United States of America, they always talk about the United States of America being a nation of immigrants. People came from all, other countries, came to America. Irregardless of whether you came forcibly, by choice or by force. People came from other countries, to live in America now. I know about the Native Americans. That we ain't talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. That ain't what we're talking about. We're talking about people come from other, places coming to America. And the thing about the American Restoration Movement, You see, the people came from Europe. They already knew about the Catholic Church. They already knew about the Catholic Church because the Catholic Church has been around since the 1st century. See? And then you had all this Protestant Reformation stuff going on in Europe. Now you know who the Protestants were. They're Catholics. They were Catholics. And it was the Catholics who called those people who was trying to disagree with the Catholic Church, called them Protestants. That's who the Protestants were. They were Catholics. And so when it comes to the American Restoration Movement, see, that's very important. See, by all this time, see, the Protestant Reformation was back in the 1500s and 1500s. Then people started coming to America in the 1600s and the 1700s. So by this time, people already knew about the Catholic Church. They already knew about all this Protestant, because the people who came over here to America, they was the Puritans, the Quakers. See, they already knew. So when it comes to the American Restoration, we were making up all them names, taking all them names out of the Bible, and making up all this stuff, this junk they made up. That's where it came from. They made it up. There's no such thing as no Church of Christ. There's no such thing as looking in the Bible and talking about the disciples of the Lord. They made it up. There's only one church. And then all these groups that we've been talking about, that the FBI got files on. Such as, for example, the Moorish Science Temple, the Nation of Islam, the 5% Nation. All this about all these various black Hebrew Israelites. And then the Rastafarians. Now it's some more cult groups. Remember we was talking about, for example, Jim Jones, David Koresh, for example. Them just a few. But there was some more back, years ago. Even in the early, years of the United States of America, we had cults. You remember they were talking about the witches, the witch trials and all that. And, even over in Europe, we talking about the Protestant Reformation movement, and talking about, what's his name? Martin Luther. Martin Luther with the 95 Theses. Ain't nothing but some gang literature. That's all it is, some gang literature. And so, that's all it is. That's all that 95 Theses is, some gang literature. And then what's his name? John Calvin. And was a Zwingli. You could put them in a category of cult leaders with Martin Luther. Go start the Lutheran Church and all this. And there was some more. You can put them in the same category as cult leaders. Now when it comes to the Catholic Church and all their particular churches, remember we've been talking about the name of the Catholic Church. And what's his name? Saint Ignatius of Antioch, the one, who was eaten alive by lions. Every time I think of that, eaten by a lion at the Roman Colosseum. See, people do things like that. That what they intend to do, is laugh at you. Anytime somebody puts you in front of a whole lot of people in public like that, and then turn some lions loose on you, they wouldn't intend to feel sorry for you. That's what they want to do, is laugh at you. And so, but Saint Ignatius of Antioch, he wrote several letters. Now, one of his letters he wrote to the Smyrnaeans in the 1st century. He wrote it in the 1st century. He wrote the phrase Catholic Church in his letter to the Smyrnaeans. Then, after he wrote his letter, he was in the Roman Colosseum and eaten alive by lions. And so, now name Catholic. That's Greek, mean universal. And so that's not the church though, because you know that remember he wrote that Catholic Church was to distinguish the Catholic Church from other groups that call themselves the church. So you know he lied. He lied. He's a liar. And so this is the reason why we're going to the United Nations. We're going to the United Nations. The church is going to the United Nations. The 5 criminals are, first of all, to make it official. That's the first thing, to make it official that there's only one church. There's only one church, the church that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, established. So let's get the Bible. And then the second reason why we're going to the Catholic Church, going to the United Nations, is to file criminal charge. The International Criminal Court, to file criminal charge. File a criminal charge against the Catholic Church and all their particular churches, against all the Protestant Reformation and all their major, minor, interdenominational, all the churches that are identified as Protestant Reformation. File criminal and civil charge. And the American Restoration Movement. Criminal and civil charge, including all these groups. Because this way it came from. It's organized crime. There's no such thing as no moral science, and they made it up. Criminal and civil charge. Nation of Islam, criminal and civil charge. 5% nation, filing criminal and civil charge. All these various black Hebrew Israelites, we're going to the international group, filing criminal and civil charges against the black Hebrew Israelites. The Rastafarians, there's no such thing as no Haile Selassie being on the side, filing criminal and civil charges against the Rastafarians. All these cult leaders like Jim Jones, David Koresh, we're going to find every single one of these cult leaders criminal and civil charge. So let's go to the Bible. Now all those who are watching my video, you can follow along when we have Bible reading, and you can go to BibleStudyTools.com to follow along, and you can also go to BibleGateway.com to follow along. Now while we get our Bibles ready, we know about the Jews, right? We know about the Jews. The first place in the Bible that you find the word Jew is singular. In the Old Testament, in the book of Esther, 2nd chapter, verse number 5. The first place in the Bible where you find the word Jews, that's plural, meaning more than one. In the Old Testament, 2 Kings, chapter 16, verse number 6. Now, we continue to read the 5 books of Moses. Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy. And then, you can also read the book of Joshua. And then you go to the book of Judges, and then the book of Ezra. You're reading about the children of Israel. That's the reason why you're reading about the children of Israel, not the Jews. The children of Israel. And you can put some emphasis on Numbers chapter 25, Israel's harlotry in Moab, and also Deuteronomy chapter 7, a chosen people. Deuteronomy chapter 13, dreamer of dreams. Also Judges chapter 2 and chapter 3. And also the book of Ezra. Read chapter 9, with emphasis on verse number 12. Intermarriage with pagans. Because see, like I mentioned before, see, God, He didn't accept, He didn't approve, He didn't allow that criminal street organization that within Judaism. It's a criminal street organization, organized crime. That's what that is, organized crime. So let's get the Bible. We're going to continue to expose Saul. Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul. He's a liar, he's a murderer. First of all, he's not no apostle. Now what we're going to do first, we're going to go to the book of Matthew. There's only one church. Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 through 19. We're going to, the church is going to the United Nations. Make it official. There's only one church. Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 through 19. When Jesus came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, He asked His disciples, saying, Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, Some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. He said unto them, But whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood have not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Now let's turn to, and that was Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 through 19. Turn to Matthew chapter 18. And we're going to read verses 15 through 20. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of two or three witnesses every word may be established. And we shall neglect to hear thee, if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as a heathen man and a publican. Verily I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever ye shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Again I say unto you, that if two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. For where two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. There's only one church. Jesus Christ established only one church. And I just read Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 through 20. The church is going to the United Nations. Gonna make it official. Now, one of the scriptures that the man-made religious organization used from those epistles that Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul, wrote, they all lies. All those epistles that Saul wrote, they lies. He said he was an apostle. He's a liar. And he's a murderer. Now, one of those epistles that he wrote, Romans, the book of Romans, chapter 16, verse 16. Salute one another with the holy kiss, the church, with the suffix es, churches of Christ, salute you. Another scripture that they use from those epistles that Saul wrote. 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 4. So that we ourselves glory in union of the church with the suffix es, churches of God, for your patience and faith in all your persecution and tribulation and ye endure. Like I said, Saul from Tarsus self-proclaimed Apostle Paul. He's a lying murderer. Now, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, first of all, he never said Christian. He never said Christian or Christians. He never said that. You can read the four Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John never said that. But he did say disciple, that's singular. Disciples, that's plural. He did say it. He did. And when you hear saint or saints, that's right too. See? So like I said, we in the Bible. And let me read what Jesus said to his apostles. Matthew chapter 28. Matthew chapter 28, verses 16 through 20. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, gave commission to the 11 apostles. Now, it was 12 apostles. We know that Judas, he fell by transgression. So again, we're going to read Matthew chapter 28, verses 16 through 20. And that's the commission that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, gave to his 11 apostles. Then the 11 disciples went away into Galilee, into a mountain where Jesus had appointed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. And Jesus came and spake unto them, saying, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Amen. Jesus Christ gave a commission to the 11 apostles. And that was all. We just read Matthew chapter 28, verses 16 through 20. You can also go to the book of Mark, chapter 16, verses 14 through 20. You can also go to the book of Luke, chapter 24, verses 44 through 49. You can also go to the book of John, chapter 21. Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 1. Read from the book of Acts, chapter 1. We're going to read the whole chapter. There are only 12 apostles. Only 12. Not no 13, not no 14. Only 12 apostles. Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed apostle Paul. He's a liar. He's a murderer. He is not no apostle. The former treatise have I made, O Theophilus, of all that Jesus began both to do and teach, until the day in which he was taken up. After that he threw the Holy Ghost and given commandments unto the apostles, whom he had chosen, to whom also he shewed himself alive after his passed by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of the things pertaining to the kingdom of God. And being assembled together with them, commanded them that they should not depart from Jerusalem, but wait for the promise of the Father, which saith he, Ye have heard of me. For John truly baptized with water, but ye shall be baptized with the Holy Ghost not many days hence. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? And he said unto them, It is not for you to know the times or the season which the Father hath put in his own power, but ye shall receive power after that the Holy Ghost is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria, and unto the uttermost part of the earth. And when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? The same Jesus, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner, as ye have seen him go into heaven. Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem a 7 days' journey. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room, where abode both Peter and James and John and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus and Simon Zelotes, and Judas the brother of James. These all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication with the women, and Mary the mother of Jesus, and with his brethren. And in those days Peter stood up in the midst of the disciples and said, the number of names together were about 120. Men and brethren, the scripture must needs have been fulfilled, which the Holy Ghost by the mouth of David spake before concerning Judas, which was guide to them that took Jesus. For it was known with us, and I obtained a part of this ministry. Now this man burst the field with the reward of iniquity, and falling headlong, he burst asunder in the midst, and all his bowels gushed out. And it was known unto all the dwellers at Jerusalem, insomuch that their field is called in their proper tongue a Seldome, that is to say, the field of blood. For it is written in the book of Psalms, Let his habitation be desolate, and let no man dwell therein, and his bishopric let another take. Wherefore these men, which have come with us all the time, that the Lord Jesus went in and out among us, beginning from the baptism of John to that same day that he was taken up from us, must one be ordained to be a witness with us of his resurrection. And they appointed 2, Joseph called Barsabas, who was surnamed Justus, and Matthias. And they prayed and said, Thou Lord, which knowest the hearts of all men, shew whether these 2 thou hast chosen, that he may take part of this ministry and apostleship, from which Judas by transgression fell, that he might go to his own place. And they gave forth their lots, and the lot fell upon Matthias, and he was numbered with 11 apostles. Excuse me. If anybody think they know everything, I know you're going to be asking yourself this question. When Jesus Christ appeared to the 11 disciples, as we just read, I know this question going to be asked. Why didn't Jesus Christ choose a replacement for Judas himself? Because you don't know everything. Just because you ask a question don't mean you know what you're talking about. See, this is the reason why Jesus Christ, the Son of God, do the things he do. Because he is Jesus Christ, the Son of God. You don't know everything. Now, there's only 12 apostles. Only 12. They chose Matthias and Justin. They chose those two. The apostles, the 11 apostles chose those two. And the lot fell upon Matthias to replace Judas. So Justice was not chosen to be an apostle by God. Matthias was chosen by God. The lot fell upon Matthias. He became the 12th apostle. There are only 12 apostles. Only 12. Now, like I said, there's only 12 apostles. Only 12. Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed apostle. That's exactly what he is. He's a self-proclaimed apostle. He's a liar. He's a murderer. This is the second epistle of Peter, the apostle Peter, chapter 3, verse 2. That ye may be mindful of the words which were spoken before by the holy prophets. and of the commandment of us, the apostle of the Lord and Savior. And this is the epistle of Jude, chapter 1, verse 17. But beloved, remember ye the words which were spoken before of the apostles of our Lord Jesus Christ. Now this is the revelation of Jesus Christ, chapter 2, verse 2. Wait a minute. Now I'm going to turn over here to the book of Revelation. The revelation of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Chapter 1. I'm going to start reading verse number 11 about the 7 churches. Saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, and what thou seest, write in a book, and send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia, unto Ephesus, and unto Smyrna, and unto Pergamos, and unto Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea. Those are the 7 churches that's being brought up. And so again, this is the revelation of Jesus Christ, chapter 2, verse 2. I know thy works, and thy labor, and thy patience, and how thou canst not bear them which are evil. And thou hast tried them which say they are apostles, and are not, and has found them lifeless. And this is the revelation of Jesus Christ, chapter 18, verse 20. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. And this is the revelation of Jesus Christ, chapter 21, verse 14. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Only 12 apostles. Only 12. Now, while we talking about 12 apostles, I want to say this. Thank God today that there's a United Nations. Thank God today that we have a United Nations. And that these issues can be resolved at the United Nations. Now we have an international criminal court to deal with these criminals. And they're going to get dealt with. It's a court case. So, it's a process. Now, one of the issues that I know will come up, and I know I can sense that now excuse me. I can sense that it's going to be an issue that's going to come up about saying you're a prophet. I already know. See, when we be reading, see, this is the most important thing. This is the important thing about reading the scripture. When we be reading from the New Testament, like the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you find you're reading about Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and you're reading about the disciples, about the growth of the church and how, the process. And then you read the book of Acts, and you're reading about Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and you're reading about the apostles, the elders, and the church. And I know that word. I know it's gonna come up. I can already sense, because when we be reading in the New Testament, not those epistles that Saul wrote, but we be reading like the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We be reading the book of Acts. And I know that while we've been reading, the word prophet has been coming up. Thank God that we have a United Nations. Thank God that we have a United Nations to address these issues. So let's go to the book of Acts. We're going to go to chapter 2, because I want to make sure we get this I want to remind us about this speaking in tongues stuff. Chapter 2, I'm going to start reading verse number 1. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues, like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Ghost and began to speak with other tongues, and the Spirit gave them utterance. Let me stop right there. That's not talking about making those stupid sounds out your mouth. See, this is what people did in the past. They took passages out of script, out the Bible, and they literally made fools out of a lot of people. You should have kept reading. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven. Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard to speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? And how hear we every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born? Parthians and Medes and Elamites, and the dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea and Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia, Pergia and Pamphylia in Egypt, and in the parts of Libya about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians, we do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of God. You should have kept reading. And they were all amazed and were in doubt, saying one to another, What meaneth this? Others mocked and said, These men are full of new wine. But Peter, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, Ye men of Judea, and all ye that dwell in Jerusalem, be this known to you, and hearken to my words. Alright, I'm not going to go all the way. For these are not drunken, as ye suppose, seeing it is but the third hour of the day. But this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. I'm going to stop right there, because, as you know, this is Peter's sermon, the Apostle Peter's sermon. But we got some more learning to do. So in your spare time, you continue to read the Apostle Peter's sermon in Acts chapter 2. Now let's go over to Acts chapter 6. We're going to continue to expose Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul, for being a liar and a murderer. Now we'll start reading in Acts chapter 6, verse number 1. And in those days, when the number of the disciples were multiplied, there arose a murmur of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. Then the 12 called the multitude of the disciples unto them, and said, It is not reason that we should leave the word of God and serve tables. Wherefore, brethren, look ye out among you 7 men of honest report, full of the Holy Ghost and wisdom, whom we may appoint over this business. But we will give ourselves continue to prayer and to the ministry of the word. And the saying pleased the whole multitude, and they chose Stephen, a man full of faith, and of the Holy Ghost, and Philip, and Prochorus, and Nicanor, and Timon, and Parmenas, and Nicholas, a proselyte of Antioch, whom they set before the apostles. And when they had prayed, they laid their hands on them. And the word of God increased, and the number of the disciples multiplied in Jerusalem greatly, and a great company of the priests were obedient to the faith. And Stephen, full of faith and power, did great wonders and miracles among the people. Then there arose certain of the synagogue, which is called the synagogue of the Libertines, and Cyrenians, and Alexandrians, and of them of Cilicia and of Asia, disputing with Stephen. And they were not able to resist the wisdom and the spirit by which he spake. Then they suborned men, which said, We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and against God. And they stirred up the people and the elders and the scribes, and came upon him, and caught him, and brought him to the council, and set up false witnesses, which said, This man ceased not to speak blasphemous words against this holy place and the law. For we have heard him say that this Jesus of Nazareth shall destroy this place and shall change the custom which Moses delivered us. And all that sat in the council, looking steadfast on him, saw his face as it been the face of an angel. Now we know this chapter 7, pretty much the whole chapter, Acts chapter 7, is Stephen's defense. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn over here. And I'm going to start reading Acts chapter 7, verse 54. When they heard these things, they were cut to the heart, and they gnashed on him with their teeth. But he, being full of the Holy Ghost, looked up steadfastly into heaven and saw the glory of God, and Jesus standing on the right hand of God, and said, Behold, I see the heavens open, and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of God. Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears, and ran upon him with one accord, and cast him out of the city, and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at a young man's feet, whose name was Saul. And they stoned Stephen, calling upon God, and saying, Lord Jesus, receive my spirit. And they kneeled down and cried with a loud voice, Lord, lay not this sin to their charge. And when he had said this, he fell asleep. See, don't forget about these people that helped Saul, because we don't really know who none of these people were. We don't know who none of these people were. See, it's important because later on, when Saul was moving around, he was looking for these people. He was looking for these people. See, when he be talking about him going around these churches and claiming that he's going around on some missionary journey, he's not going on missionary journey. Saul is a member of one of these criminal street organizations. And when he was going around, that's who he was looking for. That's the reason why when we be reading about him beckoning at people and using his hand telling people to come to him, he be looking for them. He be gesturing at the crowd. He always wait till he be in a crowd or when people be around. See, the disciples be around. He don't be beckoning at the disciple. He don't be gesturing at the disciple. But he always, when other people be around, when they go around these churches, he be beckoning and it always be the Jews. He always claim he arguing with the Jews and trying to teach the Jews and trying to convince them, persuade them to be a disciple. No, he not. He lying. He be beckoning at the crowd because he's looking for these same people who helped him to kill Stephen. And then what we're going to read now about the persecution of the church. So now we're in Acts chapter 8. We'll start reading verse number 1. And Saul was consented unto his death. And at that time there was a great persecution against the church, which was at Jerusalem. And they were all scattered abroad throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles. It's a great persecution. Now, in today's terminology, the United Nations, what they call it a crime against humanity. They call it committing human rights violation. They call it genocide. They call it ethnic cleansing. See, it's wrong. What Saul did is wrong. He's a lying murderer. And devout men carried Stephen to his burial and made great lamentation over him. As for Saul, he made havoc of the church, entering into every house. He went into every house. Can you imagine in your mind this crazy maniac, lunatic, deranged moron? He is crazy. Him and them people that helped kill Stephen. He is crazy. You can get up you can find all the words. You can find psychopath, sociopath. He all the above. Enter into every house, hailing men and women into prison. Don't you see he crazy? See, some of these people, I guess you can call that a blessing that you made it to the prison. You know that old saying, if they ain't kill you on the spot, and they ain't gonna drag you to the prison. If they ain't kill you on the spot, then when they got you down to the prison, then you end up getting killed anyway. A lot of those women end up getting raped. Ain't no telling what they did to the men. Or they get, those men get tortured. You know, the men get tortured to death. Then the women get raped and then get killed and all that. Then think about the little girls and the little boys. And all the crimes being committed against the children, child abuse, child murder, child rape. The little girls are getting pregnant. And then having to bring a child into the world. Then what, they kill the mama? Well, they killed the little girl after she had the baby. And then the little boy, they probably got murdered. See, these crazy fools, they'll do that. They will do that. They'll kill the little boys or put them in slavery. Because they just some no good, low down, dirty, evil people. They just evil. Therefore, they were scattered abroad, went everywhere, preaching the word. Now, you know, Acts chapter 8, okay? It started talking about, after this, you know, it started talking about Simon and the sorcerer. Simon the sorcerer. He was a sorcerer. And as you know, Simon the sorcerer, he was corrected by the Apostle Peter. He was corrected by the Apostle Peter. And now, and then also in Acts chapter 8, you know, it started talking about the Apostle Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch. So let's go over here to Acts chapter 9. We're going to go slow. We got to go slow. Because we don't want nobody to miss it. We don't want nobody being mad, upset about Saul. We don't want nobody getting upset, want to kill anybody about Saul. What we want you to do is see the truth, that he's a liar and he's a murderer. Don't defend Saul. Don't defend Saul. And we're going to take it slow. Now, we're in Acts chapter 9. We're going to start reading verse number 1. And Saul, don't you see how crazy he is? Let me say this. Don't you see how crazy? Now he over here, Saul. Now he trying to go to Damascus, Syria, to do the same thing. Don't you see how he is crazy? And Saul, here breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord. He's crazy. Went unto the high priest and desired him letters to Damascus, to the synagogue, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. As if you live, you know. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus. And suddenly, it shined round about him. Let me stop right there. The light shined around about Saul. Nobody else. It shined around about him. The light from heaven. There was a light from heaven shining around about Saul. And verse number 4. And he fell to the earth. It was only him. Only he fell to the earth. And heard a voice saying unto him. So now he has seen the Lord in the way. And now the Lord is speaking to him. And heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And he said, stop. Don't forget, Saul is a Jew. He a Jew. The Jews and the children of Israel are not the same. It's not the same. When we talk about God and Jesus Christ being the Son of God, Saul is a Jew. Don't forget, Saul is a Jew. When we be reading in the Old Testament, the 5 books of Moses, in the book of Joshua, the book of Judges and Ezra, you're reading about the children of Israel, not the Jews. It's not the same. Saul is a Jew. So when you talk about God and Jesus Christ being the Son of God, he asks, who art thou, Lord? Don't forget, he a Jew. And he said, who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And he, trembling and astonished, said, Lord, what wilt thou have me to do? And the Lord said unto him, arise. Because see, he was the only one who fell to the earth. So Jesus Christ, the Son of God, said, arise and go into the city, and it shall be told thee what thou must do. See, let me go back. Verse number 3. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus. It didn't say what time of day it was. See, this is the lie he be telling. See, this is important for a lot of people who be reading. When you read verse number 3, it did not tell you that it was in the morning. It didn't tell you it was in the afternoon. It did not tell you it was in the evening. We don't know what time of day it was. We don't know. It says, as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined around about him a light from heaven. So he has seen the Lord in a way. A light from heaven shined around about him and only him. Verse number 4. And he fell to the earth. Only he fell to the earth. He was the only one who fell to the earth. Only him. He fell to the earth and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? He was the only one who fell to the earth. So let me move on. Let's go to verse number 7. It's very important. Verse number 7. It's very important. It's very important. Verse number 7. And the men, being specific, it didn't say women. It didn't say little boys. It didn't say little girls. It specifically said, and the men. And the men. Being specific. Now, we don't have no background on these men. We don't know who these men were. It could have been some of them same crazy people that killed Stephen. Could have been. It could have been a king. It could have been a chief priest. The same chief priest that he got letters from the chief priest to go to Damascus. Could have been him walking around. But it don't say that in the verse number 7. It says, and the men. That's plural, meaning more than one. It's very important. It's very important. Don't forget. In Acts chapter 9, verse number 8, it says specifically, and the men which journeyed with him, they stood, they were standing. When he fell to the earth, they did not fall to the earth. They were standing. See, it's very important that you pay attention to detail. You got to pay attention to detail. You got to be thorough. And the men which journeyed with him stood speechless. They didn't say anything. See, Jesus Christ didn't speak to them directly. Jesus Christ directly spoke to Saul. Hearing a voice, they heard a voice, just like people watching my video. You hear my voice, but they ain't see no man. But understand this: just because they heard a voice, that don't mean they understood what was being said between Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and Saul. You don't assume that they understood, because first of all, Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Now they heard, and just like people hearing my video, there's a lot of people that don't speak English, but they'll hear my voice. They'll hear you talking, but that don't mean they understand what's being said. Jesus Christ is the Son of God. When he spoke to Saul, that don't mean that Jesus Christ spoke so they can understand too. Because see, Jesus Christ, he knew who these men were. Don't forget that. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, these men were on the Jesus Christ, the Son of God. He knew who each one of these men were. He knew. We don't. We know they were men, but we don't know who these men were. But Jesus Christ, the Son of God, he know who these men were. He know. They heard Jesus' voice, but they ain't see no man. See, it's important. Don't forget, because when we go over here to Acts chapter 22, in the title of Acts chapter 22, Paul tells of his conversion. In Acts chapter 26, Paul recounts his conversion. He lied. And see, it's important that you come back to Acts chapter 9, and then you will see he lied. So let's keep reading. And Saul arose from the earth. He arose from the earth. And when his eyes were opened, he saw no man. But they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. And he was 3 days without sight, and neither did eat nor drink. And there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias. And to him said the Lord in a vision, Ananias. And he said, Behold, I am here, Lord. And the Lord said unto him, Arise, and go into the street which is called Straight, and inquire in the house of Judas for one called Saul of Tarsus. For behold, he prayed. Now see, this is the reason why it's important for you to pay attention to detail. When it says Judas' house, it was Jesus Christ who told him to go to Judas' house. Judas didn't argue. See, this is the reason why it's important that you pay attention to detail, because when he tells about it, his conversion, he recounts it, he leaves that out about Judas going to Judas' house. He be lying. They have seen in a vision a man named Ananias coming in and putting his hand on him that he might receive his sight. Then Ananias answered, Lord, I've heard that many of this man, how much evil he hath done to thy saints at Jerusalem. And here he hath authority from the chief priests to bind all that call on thy name. But the Lord said unto him, Go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. For I will shew him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake. And Ananias went his way and entered into the house, and putting his hands on him said, Brother Saul. Now don't forget, after he talked to Jesus Christ. See, this is the reason why you know that Saul is a lying murderer. He seen the Lord in the way. And the Lord spoke to him. The Lord Jesus Christ, first of all, did not tell him he an apostle. Jesus Christ did not tell Saul he was an apostle. He's a lying murderer. And also, his name was not changed to Paul by Jesus Christ. That's what he did. That's what he did. He walked around, his name still Saul. Ananias just got his brother Saul. Jesus Christ did not change his name to Paul. That's what he did. He's a lying murderer. Saul, the Lord, even Jesus, that appeared unto thee in the way as thou camest, have sent me that thou mightest receive thy sight and be filled with the Holy Ghost. See, Ananias is a witness. And see, it's important that you don't leave these things out. He's a lying murderer. When he tells about his conversion, when he recounts his conversion, Ananias know that he was seeing the Lord in the way, and that the Lord Jesus spoke to him. He did not tell him he's an apostle. See, it's important that you don't leave anything about Saul's conversion out. He's a lying murderer. And immediately there fell from his eyes as it had been scales, and he received sight forthwith, and arose and was baptized. It's important. It's important. He has been added to the church. He was baptized. He was converted. That's the title of Acts chapter 9. Saul converted. And now he's been baptized. He has been added to the church. The church has multiplied. It's important. Don't forget. And when he had received meat, he was strengthened. Then was Saul certain days with the disciples, which were at Damascus. And straightway he preached Christ in the synagogue, that he is the Son of God. But all that heard him were amazed, and said, Is not this he that destroyed them which called on this name in Jerusalem, and came hither for that intent, that he might bring them bound unto the chief priest? But Saul increased the more in strength, and confounded the Jews which dwelt at Damascus, proving that this is very Christ. And after that many days were fulfilled, the Jews took counsel to kill him. But their laying await was known to Saul, and they watched the gates day and night to kill him. Then the disciples took him by night, and let him down by the wall in a basket. Verse 26. And when Saul was come to Jerusalem, he essayed to join himself to the disciples. But they were all afraid of him, and believed not that he was a disciple. Verse 27. But Barnabas took him and brought him to the apostles. Stop right there. Now he is in Jerusalem, and Barnabas has taken him in front of the apostles, and declared unto them how he had seen the Lord in the way, and that he had spoken to him. Stop. That's the reason why it's so important for you to make sure that you be thorough, you pay attention to detail. Saul seen the Lord in the way, and the Lord spoke to him. The Lord Jesus Christ never told him he was an apostle. Lord Jesus never changed his name to Saul, to Paul either. He's still Saul. The Lord Jesus Christ never told Saul that he is an apostle. He's standing right here in front of the apostles. He talked to Ananias. Ananias came right over there where he was at. And those men that journeyed with, they witnesses. See, it's important. It's important that you don't forget that the men that journeyed with him, they eyewitnesses. They eyewitnesses. He not no apostle, and then he lied about those men. That's not right. That's not right. That's how he had preached boldly at Damascus in the name of Jesus. And he was with them coming in and going out at Jerusalem. And he spake boldly in the name of the Lord Jesus and disputed against the Grecians. But they went about to slay him, which when the brethren knew, they brought him down to Caesarea and sent him forth to Tarsus. Now he's in Tarsus. What's wrong with this picture? He in Tarsus. What's wrong with this picture? He has gone to Tarsus. What's wrong with this picture? He has seen the Lord in the way, and the Lord spoke to him. He was baptized. He was added to the church multiplied. Now he has been sent to Tarsus. He is in Tarsus. What's wrong with this picture? Take as much time as you need. Take as much time as you need. But I'm going to give you a hint. Matter of fact, I just gave you a hint. He has seen the Lord in the way. And the Lord Jesus Christ, the Son of God, spoke to him. He was added to the church. The church multiplied. So now he in Tarsus. That's what's wrong with this picture. Because when he in Tarsus, no one is being added to the church. The church is not multiplying. There is no church in Tarsus. That's what's wrong with this picture. Then had the churches rest throughout all Judea and Galilee and Samaria, and were edified and walking in the fear of the Lord, and in the comfort of the Holy Ghost were multiplied. And it came to pass, as Peter passed through all quarters, he came down also to the saints which dwelt at Lydda, and there he found a certain man named Aeneas, which had kept his bed 8 years and was sick of the palsy. And Peter said unto him, Aeneas, Jesus Christ maketh thee whole. Arise and make thy bed. And he arose immediately. And all that dwelt at Lydda and Sarah saw him and turned to the Lord. See what I'm talking about? See how the church multiplying. See how people are turning to the Lord. But he over in Tarsus, you don't hear anything from him anymore. Now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas. This one was full of good works and all deed which she did. And it came to pass in those days that she was sick and died, whom when they had washed, they laid her in the upper chamber. And for as much as Lydda was nigh to Joppa, and the disciple had heard that Peter was there, they sent unto him 2 men, desiring him that he would not delay to come to them. Then Peter arose and went with them. When he was come, they brought him into the upper chamber. Then all the widows stood by him, weeping and showing the coats and garments which Dorcas made while she was with them. But Peter put them all forth and kneeled down and prayed. And turning him to the body, said, Tabitha, arise. And she opened her eyes. And when she saw Peter, she sat up. And he gave her his hand and lifted her up. And when he had called the saints and widows, presented her alive. And it was known throughout all Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. It came to pass that he tarried many days in Joppa with one Simon the tanner. So in Acts chapter 10, We know that's the Apostle Peter's vision. Now make sure you have your bookmark on Acts chapter 9. Now we know that Acts chapter okay, let's go over to Acts chapter 11. Now Acts chapter 11 is a continuation of the Apostle Peter's vision at the very beginning. I'm starting reading Acts chapter 19. Now let me say this. In Matthew, in the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, never said Christians. He never said that. He chose 12 apostles. One fell by transgression. And so another was chosen to replace Judas. So 12 apostles. The 12 apostles never said Christians. They never said that. The 12 apostles, they appointed elders of the church in Jerusalem. The elders never said Christian. And the church in Jerusalem never said Christian. So now I'm going to start reading Acts chapter 11, verse 19. Now they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenicia and Cyprus and Antioch, preaching the word to none but unto the Jews only. And some of them were men. But Cyprus and Cyrene, which when they were come to Antioch, spake unto the Greeks and preaching the Lord Jesus. And the hand of the Lord was with them, and a great number believed and turned unto the Lord. Then tidings of these things came unto the ears of the church, which was in Jerusalem. And they sent forth Barnabas, that he should go as far as Antioch. Verse 23, who, when he came, so Barnabas came to Antioch. He came to Antioch. They had seen the grace of God, was glad, and exhorted them all that were purpose of heart, they would cleave unto the Lord. For he was a good man and full of the Holy Ghost and of faith, and much people was added unto the Lord. Verse 25, then departed Barnabas to Tarsus for to seek Saul. Before Barnabas came to Antioch, you didn't hear nobody say Christian. While he was in Jerusalem, nobody said Christian. Now when he leaves Antioch, and let me say this, you know, it's a mathematical formula that they used in the first century to calculate time and distance. It's important. When you know you got to make a journey, you make preparations. So you have to do a mathematical formula to calculate time and distance, to make preparations for your journey to travel. You're going to go from Antioch to Tarsus. Now you know we done went to Wikipedia. We done to inform ourselves about Cilicia and Tarsus. You know that you're going to have to make preparations from Antioch in Syria to Tarsus in Cilicia. You're going to have to make preparations. So you're going to have to use a mathematical formula, you know, to calculate the time and distance from Antioch to Tarsus, and from Tarsus back to Antioch. You're going to have to make them. And so then departed Barnabas to Tarsus for to seek Saul. Now you got to seek Saul. You know he a lying murderer. Why would you have to seek Saul? If you had been teaching in Tarsus and people were being added to the church in Tarsus, You already know what Saul was taught, what Saul was at in Tarsus, but you got to go seek Saul. So in verse 26, and when he had found him, we don't know how long that took. How long did it take Barnabas to find Saul? We don't know. It could have took 1 month. It could have took 3 months, 6 months. It could have took a year for Barnabas, once he got to Tarsus, to actually find Saul. But when he found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that the whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples were called Christians first at Antioch. By the time we know it was Saul, because Barnabas had already came and nobody said that. We know it was Saul. Now all of a sudden Saul come over here to Antioch, and what you hear, Christian, it was Saul. Verse 27. And in these days came prophets from Jerusalem unto Antioch, and there stood up one of them named Agabus, and signified by the Spirit that there should be great dearth throughout all the world, which came to pass in the days of Claudius Caesar. Then the disciples, every man according to his ability, determined to send relief unto the brethren which dwelt in Judea, which also they did, and sent it to the elders by the hands of Barnabas and Saul. Well, like I said, when we be reading, I know the word prophets. While we be reading, I know. Thank God today we have a United Nations. Now, while we talk about the word Christian, there are 2 other places in the Bible that talks about being a Christian, where you find the word Christian. The second place is in Acts chapter 26, verse 28. King Agrippa said he was almost persuaded to be a Christian. It was Saul again. And by that time, you know he was lying. By that time, because after Acts chapter 15, so when you get to Acts chapter 26, verse 28, you know Saul lied. They had already put that to rest. That was over with. And then the third place where you find the word Christian in 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 16. Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but glorify God. But glorify God on this back. The Apostle Peter was telling you, going behind my back. Apostle Peter in Jerusalem, and then you have somebody over in Italy saying Christian way over there in Italy. If any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed. First of all, you read Apostle Peter's epistle. You read Apostle Peter's epistle. Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed. You don't take the Apostle Peter's epistle and then go tell yourself that you're a Christian. See, you don't go behind Apostle Peter's back. Apostle Peter never said he was a Christian. Glorify God. And that's another thing. Glorify God. The Apostle Peter was chosen to be an apostle by Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Not the God that the Jews talk about. Excuse me. Not the God that the Jews talk about. Because they don't serve God. And God said that they're not worshiping God. So that was the third place that you find where, and don't forget that in 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 15, 16, 17, and 18, the Apostle Peter exposed Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul, for being a liar and a murderer. He's a lying murderer. Now, I'm not going to read Acts chapter 15. I won't have time. But what I'm going to do is we know that in Acts chapter 15, it's about the meeting that they had about circumcision, because some men came in Acts chapter 15, verse number 1. Some men came down from Judea and was talking about circumcision. And in Acts chapter 15, verse number 2, that was really the start of the end of that whole thing about being a Christian, because in that verse it says, when therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small disputation with them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other of them. It wasn't just Paul and Barnabas going back to Jerusalem, but it was some more people. So if they weren't going to just bring up circumcision, they're going to bring up that stuff about being a Christian, talking about saying that stuff about Christian. Now, Acts chapter 15, verse 22, that really was the end of that Christian stuff. It reads, then pleased that the apostles and the elders with the whole church to send chosen men of their own company to Antioch with Paul and Barnabas, namely Judas, surnamed Barsabas, and Silas, chief men among the brethren. And so like so like I said about that being a Christian, see, in Jerusalem, in all the churches, they didn't say nothing like that. And the most important thing of all, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, he never said that. Don't never forget. The most important point to make when you hear people trying to talk about being a Christian, always remember the most important point of all, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, in the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. He never said that. So I don't know why you're going to come to sit up and try to start a big argument and get into a shouting match talking about open and first Peter. The most important point of all, the leader of the church, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, never said Christian, never said Christians, never said that. Never said it. Never said it. He never said it. while we still got our Bibles open, we're going to turn to Acts chapter 22, and we're going to make a point. Turn to Acts chapter 20, catch a bookmark on Acts chapter 9. Turn to Acts chapter 22. We're going to show that Saul is a lying murderer. Remember we was talking about the men. That's important. It's important. And he tells of his conversion. And you got your bookmark on Acts chapter 9. And the most important said, and the men in Acts chapter 9. When you go to Acts chapter 22, verse number 9, it says, and they. We don't know who they is. We don't know who they is. This is what Saul said out of his own mouth. And they that were with me saw indeed the light and were afraid, but they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. He lied. He said, and they. Who is they? Acts chapter 9 specifically said, and the men which journeyed with and the men which journeyed with him. It specifically said, and the men in Acts chapter 9 verse number 7, and the men which journeyed with him stood speechless. They were standing, hearing a voice. They heard the voice, but they ain't seen no man. So let's turn to Acts chapter 22, verse number 9. And they. Who is they? Who is they? This is Saul saying that these are his words. And they that were with me saw indeed the light and were afraid, but they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. He lied. He lied. Don't you see he lied? Now let's go to Acts chapter 26. And don't forget, when we were talking about Judas, the house that he went to, he completely left that out. He didn't even mention Judas' name about the house he went to. He didn't tell you about what the street he was on. See, it's a lot of things. He be lying. He be lying. So you got your bookmark on Acts chapter 9. So let's go to Acts chapter 26. We're going to go to verses 13, 14, 15. At midday, O king. Now, you know we just read it. It didn't say it was in the day. It was midday. It didn't say that. Acts chapter 9 did not say that. Okay. I saw in the way a light from heaven, above the brightness of the sun shining around about me, and then was journeying. He lied. The light only shined around about him. He's saying that the light shined around about him, and them which journey with me. Who is them? Who is them that journey with him? He lied. Saul is lying. It was men who journeyed with him. Verse 14. And when we, who is we? Who is we? Acts chapter 9 said, and the men which journeyed with him. And when we were all fallen to the earth. Acts chapter 9 said, after he seen the light, and he fell to the earth. And he fell to the earth. He lied. I heard a voice speaking unto me, saying in the Hebrew tongue. They never said that. See, this is the reason why you got to be thorough. You got to pay attention to detail. Talking about God spoke to him in Hebrew. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, spoke to him in Hebrew. Saul, Saul, I persecute that means hard for thee to kick against me. And I said, who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Jesus whom thou persecutest. I'm going to stop right there. We're going to come back. We're going to come back. But you see, Saul be lying. He be lying about his conversion. He be lying. And them his own words. The church, the one and only church going to the United Nations, gonna make it official. There's only one church. Matthew chapter 16 verses 13 through 19, and Matthew chapter 18 verses 15 through 20. Gonna make it official. Then gonna file criminal charges against the Catholic Church and all their particular churches, all the Protestant Reformation, all their churches, all the American Restoration Movement, all their churches, all the all these groups like the Moorish Science Temple, the Nation of Islam, 5% Nation, all these Black Hebrew Israelites, all the Rastafari, and all these cults, criminal and civil charges. Now we continue to talk about African traditional religion. As you know, African traditional religion is being taught in colleges and universities in sub-Saharan Africa. You can earn a bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD studying African traditional religion. One of the books we're going to continue to refer to is titled West African Traditional Religion, written by Dr. Joseph Overseer, relating Dr. P. Adelumo the Penguin. Another book we're going to refer to is titled African Traditional Religion, definition written by Dr. E. Beloja Ador. Another book we're going to refer to is titled African Religion and Philosophy, written by Dr. John S.M.B. Another book we're going to refer to is titled Concepts of God in Africa, written by Dr. John S.M.B. Now, some examples of schools that teach African traditional religion in sub-Saharan Africa. Dr. Joseph Overseer, related with PhD, Aberdeen, Senior Lecturer, African Traditional Religion, Department of Religious Studies, University of Aberdeen, Aberdeen, Nigeria. Dr. P. Adelumo the Penguin, PhD, Aberdeen, Department of Religious Studies, University of Aberdeen, Nigeria. Dr. E. Beloja Ador, Professor of Religious Studies in the University of Aberdeen, Nigeria. Dr. John S. M. Beatty was born in Kenya and studied at Makerere University College in Uganda. you know the prefix and suffix of root words, they are in Webster's Third New International Dictionary and Oxford English Dictionary. Webster's Third New International Dictionary, the complete and total definition of meaning of the word gang, the act, manner, or means of going. This is mobile. This is mob. this stupid sorority and this stupid fraternity. His sister. This is brother. I see my phone, the charge went down. So everybody who watching my YouTube channel, just now my phone, the charge on my phone went down, so it ran out of charge. Oxford English Dictionary, the complete and total definition and meaning of the word gain, action or mode of going, way, past a set of things or person. This is mobile and mob. That stupid sorority, that stupid fraternity. Now, we're going to come back on my niggas video, and we're going to continue to go to the Bible. We're going to continue to expose Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul. We know he lying. We know he's not no apostle. And also, we know that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, in the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, he never said Christian. The apostles that he chose never said Christian. The 12 apostles that Jesus Christ, Son of God, chose never said Christian or Christians. And the elders who were appointed by the apostles, by the 12 apostles, they never said Christian. And the church in Jerusalem never said Christian. Never said that. Never said it. And like I said, we're going to continue to expose Saul from Tarsus, self-proclaimed Apostle Paul, for being a liar and a murderer. He's not no apostle. And we're going to continue to give encouragement to the church. And because there's only one church. We know that the Catholic Church, in all their particular churches, they're not the church. They're going to be charged. The church, we're going to the United Nations first to make it official, and also to file criminal charge in the International Criminal Court against the Catholic Church and all their particular churches, and all the Protestant Reformation churches, all the churches identify as Protestant Reformation church. Even if they don't, even if they try to not identify, yes you are going to be charged with criminal and civil charge. And all the American Restoration Movement churches, all of them, all the American Restoration Movement churches, every single one of them going to be charged criminal and civil charge. All these court leaders. And the nation of Islam, the Moorish Temple, 5% nation, all these various black Hebrew Israelites, and the Rastafarians, and criminal and civil charge. Now these are just a few of the free logo design websites you can go to make anti-gang logos. Get ready to end my video. Again, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known BrightShine. Live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county sheriff, to the state of Tennessee. Thank all my fans, my support for your continued encouragement, support always put God first. And take care of yourself. I wish each and every one of you the very best.